Hey, what's going on, everybody? This is Tyrone back with Tech Life. And here I have an article for you guys from Fierce Wireless. This is an older article. I will leave it as a placeholder. It will tie in to what we're discussing in today's video. So I know recently I gave you guys predictions of T-Mobile. I gave you guys hot takes, but we haven't looked at what are T-Mobile's actual priorities for 2024. What are they actually trying to accomplish and chase in 2024? So in today's video, I'll get into that. I'll leave this article as a placeholder. I'll leave another video in the description as well that also discusses, it's Mike Sievert speaking, that also discusses very clearly some of their priorities for 2024. So the first priority is closing the Mint Mobile acquisition. I don't think they want that to linger around too much longer. Probably in the first half of 2024, you want to get that done and you want to move on. You want to close that acquisition. You want to integrate what you need to integrate. And then you move on from that. And then you move on to the next piece. So that I feel is their first biggest priority. They want to get that closed. They don't want that to linger on too long, because it does take up some of your operational stuff. You have some lawyers involved. If there's pushback needed, you got small teams involved. So you just want to get that done and over with. You want to get the final approval from the FCC and, the DOJ if needed. And you want to just start integrating and you want to start operating that business as quickly as possible. So that's the first priority for T-Mobile in 2024. The second priority, which is a very big one as well, is continued share taking. They made that very clear this year, last year, the year before that. They want to continue share taking. They don't want to stop that. They have lots of underpenetrated markets that's really not being discussed a lot right now. A lot of people look at T-Mobile when they talk about their growth and the future growth. They're like, well, there's not much to pull from because they've grown so much in the urban core. But then people forget about enterprise. They forget about small market rural areas. They forget about the home broadband. They're still growing there at an exceptional rate. So that's still some small business as well. We got to throw that into. So that's still some room to grow for T-Mobile. Lots of room. They've been in the single digits penetration-wise, very underpenetrated for decades. So that is still a lot of room for T-Mobile to grow. Still lots of room to grow there. And they can still grow in the urban core too. Maybe not at the same clip as they once did, but they can still get to leading share in the top 100 markets. They achieved that in the top 50, but they can still grow to that in the top 100. In the top 100, they've gotten to fair share, around fair share, and they can still grow to leading share if they continue growing at the pace that they've been growing. Not as aggressive growth-wise as maybe 5-6 years ago, but they still continue growing the most in the entire industry. So that has to be noted. We have to note that in the videos because we have to look at it objectively, and that's just a fact. They continue growing the most in the industry, and I don't see anybody dethroning them in 2024 at least. I can't see into 2025 because we could see some changes, but that's what we can tell right now is that T-Mobile will continue being the leading grower in the industry in 2024. So that's their second biggest priority. It's the share taking. They want to continue share taking on home broadband, small market rural areas, enterprise, small business, and then, of course, in the urban core, they want to continue taking share as well. And then the third priority, and I'll tie in two pieces to that. It's churn. They want to get churn as low as possible. That's a pretty big priority for T-Mobile, is to keep the churn as low as possible. They talk about that often at the quarterly earnings. And then I'll tie in small market and rural areas. The network expansion is a pretty big piece. A good chunk of that will happen in 2024. They will have to continue growing the network into 2025, 2026. So that does not stop. They will continue adding sites here and there, but the most aggressive part of the expansion will happen in 2024. We will see them getting a lot more aggressive in Nebraska, in Maine, in Vermont, some of the smaller areas, but they will have to chip at that, year after year. It's not going to all happen in 2024, even though that might be the biggest bulk of the coverage expansion. They will have to continue chipping at that each and every year that goes by. So there's been a recent statistic posted on the FCC as of June 2023. I'm hoping we get an update to that in the same time frame in 2024 around June. And it has, this is FCC data, so we look at everything objectively. It has AT&T at the biggest network, coverage-wise, landmass-wise, at I think it was like 56.9%, followed by Verizon at 55.6%. And then T-Mobile was listed on there as well at 35.1%. So T-Mobile has a lot of work to do. That's why that's also a pretty big priority. T-Mobile has about 20% of coverage to catch up to the competition, according to that data, right? So I'm sure from June until now, they've probably grown that some. I expect them by June of next year to come in at 38, 40, maybe a little over 40%. So still behind, but chipping away at it each and every year. And while they're chipping away at it, while they're growing the network, they're also taking share. As of Q3, T-Mobile became the share-taking leader in small market and rural areas. So they continue building on that momentum. So as they grow the network in these parts, in these rural parts, they're actually taking momentum with them. So that's also something that has to be looked at. They're taking momentum as they continue growing share in the market, small market rural areas, and the network, the network, and then they add retail distribution. They take momentum, and that's a good thing. That's good for competition. It's good for T-Mobile. It's good for the consumer in those parts, because now they have another option for wireless, and 9 times out of 10, that's also going to come with another option for home broadband, which helps T-Mobile continue, step number 2, the share taking that we discussed. So I wanted to leave you with that today. Those are I think are going to be the 3 core priorities for T-Mobile. That's what they're signaling, although they haven't guided. But if you look at the video that I'll post in the description, if you look at their commentary at the conferences, that seems to be the 3 big core priorities for T-Mobile in 2024. And again, that's not a prediction of mine. That's not a hot take. That's what they discuss. That's what they discuss at these conferences. It's clear that they want to continue share taking. That's what we've seen quarter after quarter. It's clear that they want the Mint Mobile merger to close. They don't want that to linger on. That's just common sense. You don't have to be a rocket scientist to figure that one out. And then the third one, you want churn as low as possible because you want to retain your base. You don't want to lose the base because it shows that there's a lack of something. And then the small market and rural areas, that's common sense as well, because they are now the share take leader. So why not build on that momentum? Why not grow in other areas? It's working. So again, just wanted to leave you guys with that. Leave your thoughts in the comments. Like, share, subscribe if you're new. Follow my social media outlets. This is Tyrone with Tech Life. See y'all in the next one. Peace.